I'm sorry, okay? Don't murder me. It's just, the guy was fucking my chickens.
Well, I never thought I'd say cousin humping was better. Howdy, all! I'm Adam, the Renaissance Nerd, and welcome back to my continuing coverage of Fallout Season 1. We're here at Episode 2. Today's going to be a little bit quick and dirty because I am pressed for time. And here's the thing. This episode, not really a lot to sink my teeth into in terms of commentary, just a couple of things other than going over what happened, because essentially this episode is characters meet. That's essentially what happens in this episode. Characters meet and plot moves a little bit along. Couple inconsistencies in terms of the story that I did notice, and I would ask if I missed it. Somebody correct me. Go ahead and run. I'm also hearing a lot of commentary from people in the sense of "Shut up! You don't know what you're talking about?" It's a review. If you can't handle my opinion, that's a you problem. I'm simply telling you what I think, what I feel, based upon watching and my admitted limited experience with Fallout. All right, let's dive right in. No transition clips or nothing. We're just going to go straight through the story real quick. Here's the thing. This episode, an hour long, little bloated. They could have done this in about 35, 40 minutes, but they took a lot of time for scenery to try and get us in the feel, and that's fine. But considering how very little actual content there was, I think this episode could have been a little shorter. Now, we start with our doctor and dog meet. We get their background, how doctor saves dog meat from being incinerated with other puppies. Clearly, this is the Enclave. They're doing genetic experimentation on dogs and other stuff. And we see how he has a nice little life and love with the dog. He raises it, and dog meat's his best friend, until the fact where he gets busted for experimenting on himself and keeping the dog out of the dog experimentation regime. He then has to escape, which is now why the bounty's after him. We now get more of Lucy, we get more of Maximus, and the ghoul eventually comes in as kind of joining everybody together. We'll go over Lucy real quick. Lucy remains the bright spot for me in all of this. She continues to have this interesting, likable personality where, even though, as it always is with a Vault Dweller, she is now exposed to the surface and has to deal with everything. And that's what the episode is with Lucy for the most part. Her experiencing the surface and keeping her kind of plucky attitude. Eventually, she comes across the doctor and dog meet, where he tells her to go home, you're a Vault Dweller. He seems to know a lot more about her than she even knows about herself. Later on, he even calls her by her last name, McLean. And he knows exactly what's going on in Vault 33. Lucy, after experiencing everything, ends up in Philly, where Maximus is always also going to end up. Maximus continues to be, for me, also the worst part of this series so far. His character gets zero development. He continues to be kind of an incompetent fool. I don't like that they're setting it up. Oh, he's going to grow as he adventures. Problem is, his personality is already poor. Because even though, yes, Knight Titus was a complete dick, as I said last video, the Brotherhood of Steel are a bunch of dicks. And he continues to prove that by always yelling at always yelling at Maximus, cursing him when he's dying, even though Maximus is the only one that can save him after they get attacked by a mutant bear. Either way, Maximus just continues kind of to be a fool. And I guess he's a love interest for Lucy. Because when they meet in a little bit, she seems to have an instant connection with him. I feel it doesn't feel right for me from a storytelling narrative perspective. Anyway, Maximus and Titus encounter, as I said, a bear. The bear beats the crap out of Titus, who proves to be a bit of a coward. And then Maximus lets him die because Maximus has this belief that the Brotherhood of Steel is supposed to protect humanity and do right, and that Titus wasn't deserving of the title of Knight or deserving to be part of the Brotherhood anyway. So he lets him die. I'm kind of half and half on that. Yeah, Titus deserved to die, but Maximus is also kind of a shit for kind of just letting it sit there and happen. He kind of is a hypocrite in terms of wanting to do good and just letting somebody die right in front of him when he could have saved him. Yes, did that mean he might have died later on? But It's the gray morals of Fallout in general. Good people end up doing bad things with their desire to do good. I understand that. Maximus just is a poorly executed character at this point, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not interested in his story. Because we get a bunch of him practicing with the powered armor, flying around, doing stuff, where they get a chance to include some humor about chicken fucking. Okay, fine, whatever. But I feel like my time is wasted because I'm not being endeared to Maximus at all. Eventually, everybody ends up at Philly. Lucy talks to a shop clerk, which we've seen in the trailer, where she's like, I can't believe you vault dwellers are still alive, you bunch of dipshits. We get a bunch of forced humor here and there until Lucy asks about Mold Diver or Moldover, whatever the chick's name is that raided Vault 33. Now, here's my inconsistency. I do not remember in episode 1 anybody ever mentioning Mold Diver, Moldiver, whatever her name. I don't remember that name being mentioned. I just watched it yesterday, and you guys know my memory's pretty good. I don't remember her name being mentioned. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, if it was mentioned at all. I just do not remember. So how does Lucy know her name is Mold Diver, Moldiver, whatever? I would like that to be presented to me. Seems a little inconsistency right there in terms of the storytelling and the plot. Anyway, she's asking around people. No, the shopkeeper lady yells at her, no, you don't want to know this chick, and you just need to go back where you came from, you dipshit. We all hate you. F the rich. It's that whole mentality to Fallout that, of course, the vaults were for the rich while the poor had to suffer on the surface. Yeah, fine. Regular storytelling plot of Fallout. No problem with that. Right. Eventually, though, the doctor arrives with dog meat in town, and the shopkeeper's supposed to take care of him until he's supposed to get to Moldiver, whatever. That's where he's heading. She's apparently the one paying for his services, or the tech that he injected into his neck during the prologue of the episode. Unfortunately, the ghoul's in town. The ghoul was waiting for this, and the ghoul is there, and the ghoul wants to take him in for the bounty. Long story short, he shoots off doctor's leg, stabs Dogmeat, later resurrects Dogmeat with a stim. Okay. Well, that's the thing. That's kind of a Fallout thing. Dogmeat, no matter what happens, Dogmeat always lives. Dogmeat is always alive, doesn't matter. Anywho, massive fight breaks out between the town and the ghoul, and then Maximus shows up in the armor pretending to be Knight Titus, trying to be all powerful and this and that, and for a little while he beats up on the ghoul, but if you remember from the last episode, when he was his original self, the ghoul let us know that he was a Marine, which means he probably knows how this powered armor shit works. And he comments on that during the fight. You pilot this thing like a shopping cart. You should read the manual. You suck. Eventually, the ghoul gets the upper hand because, let's be honest, Maximus is a dunce. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. Ghoul wins the fight, sends Maximus flying out of control with a crane thing because he lassos him on a crane, turns it on. Maximus is taken out of the fight. And then Lucy manages to get away with the doctor who has a fake robot leg, who has a cybernetic leg put on, but he's dying anyway. And what happens is this. The shopkeeper tells Lucy to use the doctor as leverage to get her dad back. It's the only place she's got. And the doctor agrees. They head out there. They leave. The ghoul will clean himself up. He'll save Dogmeat and use Dogmeat to track her owner. That's the thing. Dogmeat, of course, going to go back to the doctor. Lucy and the doctor end up out in the fields, in the wasteland, on the way to Moldiver, and the doctor says, you can't get me there. I'm dying because I already took some cyanide, but here's the thing. You take what's in my head, the chip he injected himself with, to Moldiver, and you're going to change and save the world, Lucy. And Lucy eventually has to accept it because he dies. And he gives her a saw blade, and she goes, okie dokie, and she's going to cut his head off and take it with her. Right. That's the episode. That's what happened. Nothing really of commentary significance. So I feel me breezing through it is okay. There's nothing for me to complain about. All my warning flags from the previous episode kind of weren't here. Therefore, I have nothing to rant or complain about. I'm simply telling you what happened and saying that Lucy remains a good character, the ghoul remains a badass, and Maximus remains a dipshit. And the doctor is dead. And Dogmeat will lead the ghoul to Lucy eventually, and we're going to have everybody come together. So that's kind of what this episode was. All the characters interacting. That's kind of what it was worth. And other than that, I have nothing really to say, because other than these plot points of Lucy's experience on the surface to show how everybody doesn't want her there, but she's going to stay there because she's committed to finding her dad. That's good Lucy character development. She keeps her center of gravity, for lack of a better term. She keeps her focus. She knows what to do. She's not going to abandon her dad. She remains a competent character. She is not put in Super Mary Sue territory. She is, in fact, overly nice at times, which remains endearing because it keeps us liking her. She tries to negotiate with the ghoul at one point, and he basically says, "You goddamn vault dwellers. You really are idiots." But okay. She's okay. Lucy remains nice, remains pleasant. As I said also, Maximus remains annoying. And I wonder if they're going to really give him any sort of good character redemption going forward, because he is not interesting. He's boring. And the actor isn't that great either. Overall, the dialogue is average in the show, the delivery. They didn't do this much in the first episode, but now in this one, they're doing what modern script writing relies on: too much cursing, too much swearing, thinking that shows edginess. Yeah, let's dial that back. I curse all the time, but cursing is not an excuse to try and make something sound edgy and legitimate and real in your face. You don't need to have people dropping F-bombs all the time. It's just unnecessary. And it seems the script is leaning into that with the dialogue in this episode, and I don't appreciate that. I think that is lazy writing. Other than that, there's still plenty of Fallout memorabilia, nostalgia throughout the whole thing to remind you it's Fallout. You see this shit. And other than that, that's all I got to say, guys. That's all I got to say. This was a quick and dirty one today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. Your support is appreciated, and I will see you likely in episode 3, because I got to kind of see where this is going at this point to see if the show lets me down. Thank you again for watching. Take it easy. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade, and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.